Yes. Good morning to our listeners and viewers of the Real Stuff podcast. Today is Friday, and on Fridays we have Poetry Corner. Today we'll critique a special poem by Léopold Sédar Senghor, and it's called The Black Woman. So, I have with us today right here Miss Stacy and Taylor out of Turks and Caicos. We have with us Fitzroy Cole, aka Viva, Viva Viva. And we have as a guest Mr. Tomlin Ellis, and we are host and co-host Flavius and Courtney. So to kick us off today on this critiquing, we'll ask Viva Viva to read the poem Black Woman.
Thank you, gentle people. Black Woman by Léopold Sédar. Naked woman, black woman, clothed with your color, which is life, with your form, which is beauty. In your shadow, I have grown up. The gentleness of your hands was laid over my eyes, and now, high up on the sun-baked pass, at the heart of summer, at the heart of noon, I come upon you, my promised land, and your beauty strikes me to the heart like the flash of an eagle. Naked woman, dark woman, firm-fleshed, ripe fruit, somber raptures of black wine, mouth making lyrical my mouth, savannah stretching to clear horizons, savannah shuddering beneath the east wind's eager caresses, carved tom-tom, taut tom-tom, muttering under the conqueror's fingers. Your solemn contralto voice is a spiritual song of the beloved. Naked woman, dark woman, oil that no breath ruffles, calm oil on the athlete's flanks, on the flanks of the princess of Mali, gazelle in paradise, pearls are stars, on the night of your skin, the light of the mind, the glinting of red gold against your watered skin, under the shadow of your hair, my care is lightened by the neighboring suns of your eyes. Naked woman, black woman, I sing your beauty that passes, the form that I fix in the eternal, before jealous fate turn you to ashes, to feed the roots of life. Thank you.
Yes, so this morning we...
Before you move on, Courtney, I just want to say that this gentleman, Mr. Senghor, was the president of Senegal. So he was a great poet and also a great leader of his country. Back to you, Courtney.
Yeah, so to start our critique, I'll just ask the lady in our midst, Stacey Ann, to go ahead and talk to us and give us your view, Stacey, please.
Not only the lady in our midst, but a black woman, which we are discussing today.
Yeah, she was just the man right about,
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. No, I looked at this piece of poetry, and before I could start my commentary, I really had to look at who wrote it. And we know that when we read a piece of poetry, the writer, the background of the writer makes a big difference to the meaning of what is read and what is being said. And for me, this is a very powerful piece of poem, as the imagery in this piece, the metaphors, the comparisons that are here, it speaks so strongly about not just a physical woman. And that is why this piece of poem means so much. It's a profound piece. I like how the poet uses the imagery of an actual woman to speak about the motherland in such a beautiful and such a powerful way. I love how he compares her to being a mother. He makes references to the Black woman being caring, nurturing. He makes reference to her natural beauty. And if we look back at the time when this piece was written, I believe it was written in the 1940s, if I'm not mistaken. At that time, it was not the idea that Black women naturally were beautiful based on their skin color. That was not a common thought that was sold or ideology. So I believe that this piece of poetry challenges the idea that Black women naturally are not beautiful. And it puts into perspective her physical features make her beautiful, and who she is from the inside out also makes her beautiful. And I love how he compares this to Africa. So for me, in the beginning, when I see him saying, "Your color is life," that for me was just powerfully placed there in the beginning. I think it's a piece of poem that more of us Black women must read and share, and Black people must share to look at, because this time was a time in history when this message was needed. And funny enough, we have come so many years forward, and this message is still needed now. So this man was really a visionary, speaking from his experiences, what he had seen, what he knew. His mother was a Black woman. He came from the Black race, and he was putting them center stage to say. He references in one of the verses, "I have grown up in her shadow."
Mm.
So we
Oh,
see
yes.
here that the Black woman played a role in his life, as in there was this mother figure, this nurturing figure, and he speaks about it and comparison with Africa also. He said her hand was over my eyes. Her soft hand, I believe. I don't have the full poem up. I'm just looking at my notes. And I'm looking to this as protection. Her hand over his eyes must have been shielding him from the things maybe he should not have seen at the time. And he also, this is also a comparison of Africa. He refers to the Black woman as the promised land. And we also look at this as Africa. The promised land holds such value. It is the place we want to be, we want to go, because there's abundance there, there's wealth, there's promise, there's a future. And I love how he compares the actual woman to Africa in such a beautiful way.
Wow. Beautiful, wonderful.
Let me just say something, Courtney. That is against the background of the French trying to tell the Africans at that time in Senegal that France was the place to be. The promised land was France. But when they went there, it was totally different. So he was pointing them back. And he did another poem that states that very clearly. He was pointing them back to their homeland, the real place. You kind of the French had colonized them, and it wasn't very nice at all. Go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah. And just to add to that, it was during a time of blatant racism,
Oh yeah.
not just colonialism, blatant racism. So, that with that background and all of that, and the depiction that is there, about the Black woman comparing to the motherland, I love that what you're saying, and That's actually the essence of the poem. But before, I speak more, I allow, Viva to speak on it and, give us his critique on it.
Well, Stacey said it so beautifully, I agree with her. So, I'll read a little. This is a celebration of beauty. Let me read from this quote. In The Black Woman, Senghor eulogizes the beauty of Africa woman and by extension, Africa as a continent. Although is Africa and the woman, that metaphor, but also can consider that he may have been talking about Senegal directly also, but we'll embrace the larger heritage, the larger continent, which is Africa, He writes to debunk the assumption of the Western world that black is inferior and associated to barbarism or primitivism. The poet sees Africa as a superior continent. He compares the color of African woman to life, the beauty of an eagle. Naked woman, dark woman is repeated in the poem to emphasize the beauty of Africa. The skin of Africa reflects the sun, gold, and natural surroundings. In fact, it's like a great ode to beauty, generally,
Yes, I do agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Because, you see, when he used the word, and he talk about the color, or the color depict, and that color black, he was saying depict life, and it's a real life force. And we look at, maybe to a larger extension now, that Africa was, the cradle of civilization, or not was, but is the cradle of civilization. So he was alluding to all of that too,
Yeah.
So, just to give a little rundown, and he was like, what I was thinking about this whole thing about naked woman, black woman, and I think he was even looking at how Africa was being raped, because here's the motherland being depicted being naked, and if it's naked, maybe someone have stripped her of her clothes then. So this is what I look on, that he's talking about a naked woman, and we know that it's talking about both a woman and the motherland.
Well, it comes and use reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Because a naked woman would generally a kind of disgraceful thing, but him use a naked woman to show the beauty, even the physical beauty, and most likely the inherent beauty that a black woman possesses, the mother, the cradle of life, the care where I hear over in face, and the two sons are eyes,
Yeah,
so,
and there's another twist to it too.
Africa, the country, make it.
Yeah. And the other twist is like, when a woman is naked, you can see her full form.
Yes. And just like Sons of Solomon, she's black and comely and pleasing to the eye and all.
Right, and pleasing to the eyes. Yeah, but we also have our guest, Tomlin, who's there, and I know that he's a poet. So Tomlin, would you like to say something?
Not much, I'm more listening, but I agree. It's a deep poem, the comparison with Africa, and which he went to explain this. But even more powerful is the time that it was written. When blackness wasn't seen as anything good as such. So I agree with what everybody else has said. And yes, I think it's a really deep poem.
Yeah, and just to add to it, there was a literal philosophy that was embraced by the poet, also called negritude. And he was one of the founders of that movement. And we know negritude is really about black consciousness, having self-esteem. Because recently we celebrate Marcus Garvey birthday, and we know that he was also a proponent of negritude. Yeah, really, speaking about, the self-esteem of the black man and black consciousness. So, we have to take that into consideration also. But the part I like when he says, I came upon you, my promised land.
Yeah.
And we know that, in biblical terms, they use Canaan as the promised land, the land of milk and honey. But here he was talking about the richness, the resources that was in the motherland. This promised land, this is the land where all the resources of the world, really is. Because if you think of Africa, if you go and you research it and check it out, every form of minerals you can think of is in Africa. Just name it, think of it, diamond, gold, anything. Any precious metals, anything you can think of, it's in Africa. And that is, because, and, it goes further down and talking up, in the end, but we'll go down a little bit, line by line afterwards about, the jealous fate. Because the jealousy came about is because of what was in Africa, in the motherland at the time. And, we see, during the colonial era, that they raped Africa, they stripped her of her minerals, so many, they split up Africa there. The colonialists, they said, well, the French, the English, the Belgians, you name them, out of Europe, they set out to, split up Africa and share it up.
Stacey, and you were saying something? I was not hearing you. Like you need to be unmuted.
No, Courtney was speaking. I just wanted to add to what he was saying about negritude, and I made some notes here that the poet was really focusing on the pride that he felt in being African, and what it meant to feel proud about who they were, despite the fact that they were colonized and they were being taught colonial ideals, to accept what was better, what was a better culture, what was a better look, physical features. So he was really promoting this pride in being real African. And the part being naked, I'm not sure. I didn't think about the part about being raped and Africa losing all its wealth. So that's an interesting point there to note. I was more focusing on the naked as him saying, in reality, the body of the black woman, naked in all its natural forms, was not accepted as being beautiful. And he wanted to break that idea that it is not. So he was saying, look at it as is. Nothing added, just as it is presented. And I think he was showing appreciation to say her skin, everything that she is beautiful naturally, just as it is. Don't be fooled by the ideas that are sold that the black woman is not beautiful and is not full of value. And I think that's why he went on to speak about the fruit and the wine. I think he was showing that, listen, there is much to be desired of the black skin, the black woman. There is fruit, so there is life, there is progress, there is abundance, there is all of this. And the wine and the tom-tom, I believe tom-tom refers to the drums.
Yeah.
There's rhythm, there's music, there's life. So he was singing all the praises of what it was to appreciate and acknowledge blackness and all its beauty that it embodied.
The tom-tom references them kind of hint at tension muttering under the conqueror's fingers.
Okay.
That is the only part where him have a direct bias towards the thing we are going, racism, under the conqueror's fingers. Notice it. Immediately after him talk about the fruit, the firm flesh ripe fruit, the samba raptures, the savannah stretch, and the eager caresses, carved tom tom, talk tom tom, muttering, all them alliterated devices, the whole T T T, it's full kind
Yes,
of
alliteration. Yeah.
And
So in use of them literary devices, in assonance, the word them sound like one another, the vowel sound, and you have to completely rhyme just the sound, the assonance, and then we're in catch, as I said, with the carved tom, and that come immediately after I show you the value of the beauty of the fruit. The fruit's so beautiful and black wine, mouth making lyrical, my mouth. One of the is one of the highlights of the language flow, the part there. Also, when I'm coming up to just before and pass at the heart of summer, at the heart of noon, I come upon you, and your beauty strikes me to the heart like the flash of an evening. And then afterwards, him come down and him tell you about the carved tam tam, and then tell you the solemn, control voice is a spiritual song of the beloved. Naked woman, dark woman, and then I tell you, I'll no breath can't ruffle, calm, Don't take it from it.
But
I really
Yes.
love that comparison there. The simile used there, comparing her to the eagle, or smile to the eagle. And I think in that comparison, he is still putting her in comparison with the majesty of the eagle, and
yeah,
the comparison is everything is just paying homage to how beautiful, how graceful, how valuable the black woman is really, which is Africa, in the metaphoric
Real
sense.
princess.
Yeah.
but
Yes, and even the use of the flash
Yeah.
of the eagle, because the eagle, when you think about the eagle, too, you think about telling you also honorable this woman is. And he was talking about how honorable the motherland is, during that time, because of the history and the culture. Because as Vivo was talking about the tom tom, carved tom tom, all right, the tom tom. If you notice the shape of the drum, because the drum that is under the armpit, so and have a particular shape also too. But the part that struck, really, strikes me is when he said, tom tom. And the tom tom, the drum could be, a symbolic of freedom to it, because there's a symbol right there. So he's saying now that, look, this drum of freedom is, it's muttering under the conqueror's fingers. That, so he's showing now that the freedom, has been taken away from the motherland, and they are being colonized, because instead of them beating this drum, it was the conqueror's fingers playing the drum.
Yes. Got the black woman at the drum.
Right.
Africa at the drum. Where everybody come dip them something out and go away with it. Deplete the whole thing.
but
Real.
the beauty to me is for us to be getting so much or so many things out of these few lines. It's a masterful piece of architecture, as it were, crafted so much is written into it, even hidden into it,
Yeah.
and we can be pulling out now. Marvelous.
Yeah, and this is one of the lines too that really struck me. It says, "Your solemn contralto voice is the spiritual song of the beloved."
Reaffirmation of faith.
Right, and so are we all right? To put this in perspective, the contralto voice is the lowest female voice. Is the as you know, an alto and the bass, are the low voices of men. So, and in terms of like, singing, then, it sounds like it's a sound of a chant, a solemn chant. This spiritual song of the beloved. Your solemn contralto voice is the spiritual song of the beloved. So to say now, there to what is happening, that what I read previously, that they're sort of mournful of what is happening. There's some kind of mournfulness right there of what is happening, of being colonized and all of that. So the songs that I'm singing, it's not like a lively song, so to speak, although it's spiritual, and it's not, it's not much of a song of hope, really.
I would have some coming a song them a chant, man, and beat
Oh,
some drum, man.
Yeah, but if you notice, because the word solemn, so.
I just like to the world, man. Trust me. Coming like me see the picture, the veiled part, I see the picture, and
yes.
you answer me. I mean, oh my God. What happened to Senghor now? What happened to Senghor now?
He died.
He died some years ago, 2000 something.
He died at the age of 95, I think.
Yeah.
Peace.
But he was a brilliant man, I can tell you.
Yeah, and there's something that we didn't talk about, because at the time when he wrote this poem, he was in France.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the whole idea,
And
I'm feeling it.
The first version was written in French. I believe the first version of it.
French was his.
I'm not a French, but Flavors did French.
I was just pronouncing
but
I was looking at somebody's commentary and they were saying it's very interesting that he used the language of the colonial masters to challenge.
Yeah.
Because this poem was really challenging all the colonial ideals that were imposed on the Africans. And I think this poem was a call to let's look to what is ours. Let's look to who we are and know that. I think even one verse he refers to the woman as the roots. I think it's later in the poem. I don't have it on my screen, but he refers to the woman as the roots. And I think if we look carefully at what roots mean, our roots, he was really calling them to look to their roots and who we are, because I think an acceptance of our roots, an awareness of our origins, an acceptance of who we are as a people and where we are from, it makes a big difference in how we see the world and how we operate in the world. And I think the moment we acknowledge and embrace our roots as being beautiful and good, and embrace our roots as being ours, this is ours, this is my origin, this is our origin, and we see the beauty in our roots, then we would value more our roots. And I think that was one of the reasons for writing this piece too, for us to value our roots.
Oh yeah, what happened in the background, because I studied him some time ago, and the whole thing is that the French conned these people in Senegal, because what they told them was that you are now a Frenchman. You can come to France and you are one of us. And when they arrived in France, it was so different. Everything was upside down, And he was saying to them, go back to Mama Africa, because we were tricked. We were tricked. And, we start to believe, just like how the English tricked the rest of us. Oh, England is a place to be, and this and that and whatever. The French were even smoother than the English. Very smooth. And they bring you across there and you feel like you're going home. Only to realize that you have to go back to your real home to live a good life. Yeah. See, you had different types of colonialism. The French were the slickest of them all because they make you believe that you are actually one of them. The British were more harsh than that.
You see, I think from long time always here, from even before slavery, you'd have a black man who was a military general. He was a national hero of France.
Yeah.
From them long time days before slavery, you know. So the French them, yeah, them really smooth, you know.
Well, if you look at
It make
the
it look,
last World Cup or two, more than 90% of the French team were Africans or are Africans.
yes, yeah, yeah, that's that point, you know. We say
Yeah,
Africa win.
yeah. So they will take anything you have, then they will rip it out and call it their own. And between France and Brussels, they did a real job on Africa. Serious job. But they're not judged so harshly as the British because of how smooth they were.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so just want to get back to some lines in the poem. I'm looking at these lines. Savannah stretching to clear horizons, savannah shuddering beneath the east wind's eager caresses. And to the point that Viva was making about the use of alliterations, we see that there, but just want to really look at what is a savanna. And you know that savanna is like a plain, that without it doesn't have many trees. So, I think he was talking about the fertility of the land, the lushness of the land, and also comparing it to the fertility of the woman. So you see that is being sort of implied right there too. And as Flavius has said too before, there's so much in this poem that we could sit maybe, we could all discuss this poem all day.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is how great this poem is. And he was, and it shows too that the longing and the yearning to be back home in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing I find here with the mention of the savannah, it's the vastness of the savannah in Africa and the fact that these savannas provide food for herd.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah,
feed,
wonderful point.
and
Yes.
for me, this is a powerful symbol. It is a feeding ground because we know that animals feed in savannas. So for me, this was making the point that this is what we have. And as you said, he's comparing it to the fertility of the woman, her ability to produce, her
Yeah.
ability to feed,
Yes.
to nurture, and to give. And he was saying Africa has its own. We have our own. And for me, that's interesting here.
And I think this poem was actually written for his countrymen who were actually in France. To say, don't despair. I mean, we have been tricked, we agree with that, but we can still go home where everything is better and everything is as it should be. Because a lot of them were there in France suffering and, what did we do? What have we done? So I think he wrote it to them and say, let's go back home.
Yes, and there's something that is very striking too, right here, the whole repetition of naked woman, black woman. And, and we see the repetition, and we know repetitions are usually used to emphasize, and you see the emphasis, what you are stressing on this wonderful woman, this wonderful place. So anyone have anything else to say? So Tomlin is still
I
in
would just say
Japan.
the emphasis was saying that this is not just an ordinary woman or an ordinary land. It was a black woman. I think that is very important.
Me find it interesting, the last part when him say naked woman, black woman. I sing your beauty that passes, the form that I fix in the eternal. Oxymoronic now. Before jealous fate turn you to ashes, to feed the roots of life. Like the phoenix, ashes, and come back to life.
Yes.
Yeah.
The resilience of the black woman, the promise to reach to the promised land to fulfill the promise of the black woman. So I sing your beauty that passes. And then him say, the form that I fix in the eternal. You see, he might fix up me forever. And just before him say, your beauty that passes. And then him go further again and show you. Before jealous fate, the colonial forces turn you to ashes. And guess what? If you turn me to ashes, it only got to feed the roots of life. This is the regenerating process. We could have said so much about this poem.
And
But that's India with us still.
I have to agree with you on that one. I think that speaks to legacy.
Stacey, get it right.
Right, yes, the right word, yeah. Legacy.
As much as he is almost sad about, as I said, the ashes, but the ashes does not signify an end.
No.
It is the end of something new. So the woman does not die. She does not end. There is no end. She keeps. So there is this thing of legacy.
Yes.
Legacy, and that is so important for us as a people to acknowledge our legacy. Yes.
So probably if you examine this old poem in a certain way, it's like it might be with a black woman from head to crown, different come down to the toe, different part.
Yeah.
Say because each different part of them say need to the man dark woman. It's a different aspect in go on. So the different aspect of a mentality, a colonization. I mean, look one the oil that no break ruffles. Them gone upon the athletes them and they might tell you about the Princess of Mali, Gazelle in paradise, pearls and stars on the night of your skin, the light of the mind, the glinting of red gold against your watered skin, and go under the shadow of your hair. My care is lightened by the neighboring suns of your eyes. And then it come again, make it back home and tell you about the part, the rejuvenation part, Felix. Arise from that.
Sorry to interject here, but I have to point this one out because I overlooked it. The sons of your eyes, this metaphor here, you notice she used sun. He's comparing the woman's eyes to the sun. That's
Yeah.
And that's powerful. Your eyes are like the sun, meaning blazing, light giving. This is a powerful metaphor here. Her eyes are like the sun, just beautiful.
Eyes. Look here, you have to be careful how you take off your glasses knowing a Miss Stacey, because those eyes could be a danger to the panel.
I say you may see some sunshine.
Yes.
Yes. This poem is loaded with meaning and hope and perspective. It's just full of all of that here.
You know what would be interesting?
Yes.
Research the influence that Marcus Garvey had on these three French people in a French where found the negritude movement. Because they say, man, Aimé Césaire and the French guy poet Leon Damas and Senghor, the three of them started the movement, just like Harlem and the Harlem Renaissance and them kind of thing,
Yes.
We can kind of compare the dates of Marcus, the way Marcus Garvey thing so strong, I mean, stretch across the whole world, you know. It's interesting to see the interaction between them, you know, if there was any, and the influence that Marcus Garvey had on the poet.
That we can check out. I know he had great influence on other African leaders like Nkrumah and Kenyatta when they were
Yeah,
students in London.
excellent. And this is France,
Yeah.
you know, so, you know, people, knowledge have go across the whole territory, you know.
Oh
And,
yeah.
you know, people that take Marcus Garvey thing, I run from village to village, you know, make people know about things. So it's interesting, you know.
Well, I have to check it out because I know when Nkrumah and Kenyatta were in London at university, when they got their summer holiday, they went to New York. They didn't go back home. They went
Okay.
to New York and sat at the feet of the Honorable Marcus Garvey.
You see
So we
what I
can
mean?
check and see if Senghor actually made that trip with them.
Okay, that was nice.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But I just have those two names of people who actually went on that trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we,
but for sure though, we know that, you know, from history that the African leaders who came out during the time of these African colonies' independence, they were most all of them basically were influenced by Marcus Garvey.
oh yes,
Oh,
oh yes.
Julius Nyerere, you name them, Secretary, you know, there were quite a number of them. I think Senghor is part of that group too, because you
Yeah.
know that he was the first president of Senegal.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
yeah.
So, and you know that because Marcus Garvey philosophy embraced so much about the African culture, you know, pride in the African culture.
The biggest word,
It
So,
man.
embraced.
Pride. Pride, yeah.
so the negritude movement, as I see it,
Yeah.
was really based off, you know, some part of the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey. Because I think I've not read much on Aimé Césaire, you know, but as you know that he came from Martinique,
Yeah.
Indeed.
yeah, out in the Caribbean. So he, you know, must have
Yeah.
had that kind of experience or the knowledge of Marcus Garvey. Because Marcus Garvey had branches all over the Caribbean, in the
Yep.
branches of the UNIA, you know, during that period of time. So, you know, so it's not really a coincidence, so to speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
for real.
Any more of this poem that you'd like to discuss and talk about or critique?
I don't love
Time
your,
good.
I would love your Stacey and read the poem, you know.
Okay.
I
Do
don't
you
think she
have
have
to?
it in front of her.
I have it. Just let me bring it up on my tablet. I don't want to interfere with the screen. Just give me a
Yeah,
moment.
okay.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
very
so
nice request, yeah.
It's two tablets and a phone I'm working with at the moment, you know.
Okay.
I've Leopold Senghor and things, and I have the poem on the thing, and oh my lord, you know.
Yeah, I need a tablet now myself. I have to look about one. 'Cause I need
HD,
one of those big ones.
the HD10 is very nice.
Which one? Oh yeah. Yeah,
HD10,
I can investigate it, yes.
trust me.
All right, I have it. I have it now.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna go through black woman, naked woman, black woman, clothed with your color, which is life, with your form, which is beauty. In your shadow I have grown up. The gentleness of your hands was laid over my eyes. And now, high upon the sun-baked pass, at the heart of summer, at the heart of noon, I come upon you, my promised land, and your beauty strikes me to the heart with the flash of an eagle, like the flash of an eagle. Naked woman, dark woman, firm-fleshed, ripe fruit, somber raptures of black wine, mouth-making, lyrical my mouth, savannah stretching to the clear horizons, savannah shuddering beneath the earth, beneath the east wind's eager caresses, car tom-tom, taut tom-tom, muttering under the conqueror's fingers. Your solemn contralto voice is the spiritual song of the beloved. Naked woman, dark woman, oil that no breath ruffles, calm oil on the athlete's flanks, on the flanks of the princes of Mali, gazelle limbed in paradise. Pearls are stars on the night of your skin, the lights of the mind, the glinting of red gold against your watered skin. Under the shadow of your hair, my care is lightened by the neighboring suns of your eyes. Naked woman, black woman, I sing your beauty that passes the form that I fix in the eternal, before jealous fate turn you to ashes to feed the roots of life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful, yes, wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes. So, anyone else have anything else to say? Tomlin, you want to say something before we leave? Okay. All
No
right.
voice.
Okay. Yes. So Viva, just give us your final comments and observation, and relax, Stacey, and to do the same.
Well, I say the way how this poem read and sound and feel is like, you're going at the songs of Solomon, and it will show you how beautiful a black woman is and thing, it is rich with religious connotations, That's all I gotta say. I won't belabor the poem. I cannot do full justice to this poem.
Okay, Stacey, and
I am a humble receiver.
I must agree with you, my brother, that we cannot do justice to this, but our perspectives really are enlightening.
Yeah.
Really good to sit like this and share ideas and learn so much. Flavius, I was just listening to history, and I am going to do some more research because, it sparks my mind. I need to know more, I need to understand, because these perspectives really give, put us in a different place. For me, this piece of poem is a reminder of the beauty and grace of the physical black woman and Africa as a continent itself. And I think this poem challenges the idea that black is not beautiful. And it challenges the idea that Africa does not possess wealth and abundance and it's not fruitful. And this idea, we're talking about from the 1940s. This is a message that we should continue to spread. And that is why I think sessions like this, we take the moment, as you said, we cannot do full justice, but we can unravel and we can share parts of what we learn. And we will learn to appreciate our roots, and we will continue that legacy. Part of what this program is doing is to continue that legacy and make sure it reaches as many as possible. A beautiful piece of poetry about the beauty and grace of the Black woman and Africa, our roots.
well,
Courtney, let's see if we can find the other poem or another poem, because he has lots of poems. But I remember one named Mama Africa, and that one is as powerful as this one. If we can find that, and we can look at that too, or one
okay.
like that. That is one that was talking about all the deceit of the French and taking the people from their home to France, their promised home that turned out really, really bad. And for him to be writing those things at that time, You know, he was really seeing a lot that a lot of people weren't seeing and willing to put it down on paper. So I think we should look into it some more.
Okay, we'll have that as like a future project then.
Yeah,
Because our next critique will be the second Friday of next month. So
yeah.
we'll look at it. All right. So just for my little conclusion is just this use of the alliteration right here of firm-fleshed ripe fruit, somber raptures of black wine, mouth making lyrically my mouth. And just looking at it, it speaks about maturity, because you're thinking about a fruit that is ripe, it's mature, at a point. And so, and he's showing that now this fruit that has, grown and matured has become like a sweet wine. You're looking at like maybe when a woman has been a matured black woman, how wonderful she is. And it shows now, because you see there's some like kind of sexual, what you call right now. He uses that sexual term right here when he says mouth, talking about the mouth, making lyrical in my mouth making lyrical in my mouth. And you could really interpret that about kissing the woman's lips and the feeling that it gave to him. And and you look at the other side of it, from a literal point. That's most time if a man drinks some wine, well, at them time them really have some lyrics and can speak, So it's so beautiful a poem that I'll have to go take a second and a third and a fourth look at this poem because it really impresses me. I mean, I'm fascinated by it. As a matter of fact, this man I got up and write a poem in tribute to what he was saying.
Wonderful.
And so that's how inspired I was, just reading this poem and going through it. So anyway, back to you, Flavors, as we close.
No, man, you just close off.
Okay. Well, thank our guest who was here, Tomlin Ellis, with us, and hope we could have you like on the program because I know that you're a poet and I know that you're involved in the arts. So we'll talk to you after here. Please don't leave, when we close out, and we'll talk to you. So I just want to thank Fitzroy Cole, aka Viva. Thank you, Stacey, for being here with us. Being a special contributor to the Real Stuff podcast, especially in our Poetry Corner. We thank you. So, as we have said, that at the next critique, we'll try and have the same group. And we'll have additional persons. But as we select a poem, we'll let you know. We'll give you at least 2 weeks notice. Okay. So
we also want to ask these poets here today, if they have poems, Caribbean, African poems that we can critique and suggest them to us. So we'll be very grateful for that.
Okay.
So you can put your input in.
All right.
Because we don't know all the poems. I mean, millions of poems. We don't even know all the poets. So we spread it out a little bit more so we can get more from it. I think today's session was wonderful. Really, really. In fact, all the critiques that we have had, this is what, the fourth one?
Yes.
Yeah, has been tremendous. And this one is really marvelous. Thank you very much. Back to you, Courtney.
Yeah, so we'll just close out and, we'll meet up again because just to let you know that I have to rush. I'm sorry about that, but I have to rush in a few minutes. So
okay, as a Russian day this year.
So, thank you again. And thank our listener and, participator, Tomlin.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. So bye for now.
You lead us so full. You belong far away away. Ajugwala lebo buseru. Lida mua, lida sungfula. Lida mua, lida sungfula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me do what set me if it could flee. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi hide like a thief in the night. Me I fi get out of sight.